Welcome to South Asia Today, a show that provides you the glimpses of South Asia. I'm your host Yeshi. Here are the headlines. India at UNSC comes up with 5-point framework for global maritime security. Nestle introduces new soft ice cream in Japan. And Nepal's Newari community celebrates Gate Mangal festival with pomp and show. Let's begin the show. India is the UNSC chair for the month of August and it has been in action right from the day one. Recently, Prime Minister Narendra Modi chaired a virtual high-level open debate in enhancing maritime security. Many prominent personalities, including the Russian President Vladimir Putin, joined the event and appreciated New Delhi for discussing and debating the real issues the world is faced with.
As India heads the United Nations Security Council chair for the month of August, Prime Minister Narendra Modi became the first Indian PM to preside over a Security Council meeting. He chaired a virtual meeting on maritime security that was also attended by key position holders, including the presidents of Russia and Kenya and the Prime Minister of Vietnam. Modi came up with India's 5-point framework to make waters across the globe trouble-free and more inclusive. At a time when an evolving global order has become the talk of most discussions, New Delhi has reiterated that a law-abiding movement in sea would be in the interest of all and the world will thrive if laid rules were followed. Despite a WTO rulebook in place, while many countries have imposed barriers citing superfluous internal technicalities, others have brazenly attempted to dominate a region to suppress others. According to India, the world must get rid of it.
हमें मैरीटाइम ट्रेड में बैरियर्स हटाने चाहिए। हम सभी की समृद्धि मैरीटाइम ट्रेड के सक्रिय फ्लो पर निर्भर है। इसमें आई अड़चनें पूरी वैश्विक अर्थव्यवस्था के लिए चुनौती हो सकती है। फ्री मैरीटाइम ट्रेड भारत की सभ्यता के साथ अनादि काल से जुड़ा हुआ है।
The 15-member UNSC has met on several occasions and has passed several resolutions over maritime security, but this was the first time it was discussed in a holistic manner. Maritime security coming up as an exclusive agenda has many reasons behind it. While countries like China have been trying to bully the Indo-Pacific region, causing troubles for smaller island nations, archipelagos and countries near sea, the likes of Pakistan have used it as a medium to spread terrorism.
For the first time, a presidential statement on the holistic concept of maritime security was adopted. Besides piracy, armed robbery and transnational organized crime, the statement reaffirms in categorical terms that the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea 1982 sets out the legal framework for maritime activities. It clearly acknowledges the threat of terrorists and the use of seas to conduct terrorist acts and crimes, like, for example, the Mumbai terror attacks in 2008. Freedom of navigation and safe and secure shipping is also acknowledged.
While India's role in the Security Council has been prominent whenever it has been a non-permanent part of the bloc, it has been particularly proactive this time around. It is not just the key meetings it will be chairing this month, but the authorities are also resolute in their endeavours at bringing a much-needed change in the discourse. Apart from maritime security, India has resolved to take key decisions towards peacekeeping and against terrorism. India has also strengthened its case of joining the P5 group, which most of the UN members agree with. The ones who have not been supporting is China, a neighbor which according to experts see India's growth as a threat, and its allies, or say puppets, like Pakistan.
Moving on, as Delta variant continues to spread across South Asia, Health experts in the island nation Sri Lanka have warned of a catastrophic crisis if stringent measures were not taken immediately. While the country of 21 million people has had relatively lower impact of the deadly virus as compared to other South Asian nations, a recent surge has set alarming bells ringing. Meanwhile, other South Asian states have reported more or less the same status as the previous week except for Bangladesh, which is gradually easing restrictions and is vaccinating the refugees in the world's largest refugee settlement of Cox's Bazar.
Island nation Sri Lanka, which sustained the first COVID wave with relative ease and loss, is now witnessing a rapid surge in infections, hospitalizations and the deaths induced by the deadly Delta variant. Experts have already shown a red flag and the authorities have obliged by reimposing some of the measures that were lifted in wake of a declining infection rate. Last week, the country had reported the highest number of single-day cases. The health system is severely strained as the current number of hospital beds has been exceeded by the number of hospitalization.
කාලේ ඔබ සියලු දෙනා දකින විදියට අපේ දත්ත අනුව ඉතා ශීඝ්‍රයෙන් මේ කොවිඩ් රෝගය පැතිරී යනවා. අපගේ රෝහල් වල වාට්ටු පිරී ඉතිරි යන තත්වයක් තමයි දැන් අපි දකින්නට ලැබෙන්නේ. මරණ සංඛ්‍යාව ගත්තත් ඒ වගේමයි පහුගිය මම හිතන්නේ දින දෙකේ මරණ සංඛ්‍යාව ගැන සලකා බැලුවාම දල වශයෙන් පැයකට 3 දෙනෙක් පමණ මිය යන ප්‍රවණතාවයක් තමයි අපි දකින්නේ.
A tourism-dependent country, Sri Lanka, hasn't imposed a complete lockdown yet, but the authorities say they are considering it in view of the rising cases. The island nation has so far vaccinated around 50% of the population with one dose and around 14% with both doses. Government says it has dedicated all its oxygen generation capacity for the COVID patients and other options to enhance the generation or procurement are being explored.
ඔක්සිජන් මත යැපෙන රෝගීන් සංඛ්‍යාවේ ශීඝ්‍ර වැඩිවීමක් පහුගිය දින කිහිපය තුළ අප නිරීක්ෂණය කරනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම අද වනකොට ලංකාවේ නිපදවන ඔක්සිජන් ප්‍රමාණය මුළුමුණින්ම පාහේ රෝගීන්ගේ අවශ්‍යතාවට යොදා ගන්නා තත්යකට ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා. මේක නිසා අප ඉදිරි සති දෙකක කාලයේදී ඉන්දියාවෙන් සහ සිංගප්පූරුවෙන් ඔක්සිජන් ගෙනීම සඳහා මේ වෙනකොට අවශ්‍ය කටයුතු සූදානම් කරලා තියෙනවා.
Meanwhile, the government of Bangladesh has started vaccinating vulnerable Rohingya refugees who, according to experts, were at the highest risk of getting infected in the Delta variant wave. Around 48,000 Rohingya aged 55 and above were inoculated this week with the help of the UN agencies.
Salam. Tika mari gulai chidi hai. Cute tika hai. Se bahar se tika ho ja. Malle wala ho ja. On gulai chidi hai.
Observers and aid workers have long warned of a potential humanitarian disaster if there is an outbreak in the camps. And while the number was significantly low before, a recent uptick has been observed recently. The camps have seen around 20,000 cases since the outbreak last year and around 200 deaths.
Now we take a look at some happenings in Asia in a segment called Asia Watch.
Hundreds of Nepalis from a high-risk groups queued to get a shot of COVID-19 at Kathmandu during an inoculation drive in the Himalayan nation. Nepal had given priority to sanitation, health and frontline workers and security personnel at the beginning of its vaccination drive, but recently opened it up for the civilians, beginning with elderly citizens. People over the age of 60 who are considered to be in the high-risk group stood in long queues and rushed to the centers in the capital city. While some residents were happy as they got their second dose, some sounded frustrated after witnessing the chaos and ill management at the center. The local administrative bodies said that there have been communication gaps between authorities and people during the local rollout, fueling confusion. Nepal had earlier introduced an online registration system to book slots for vaccination. South Korea is implementing for the first time an electronic travel authorization system for overseas visitors from September, as the COVID-19 pandemic forces open the way for a policy previously opposed by the country's tourism industry. The Justice Ministry said that the system will be a long-term way to preemptively head off any contagious disease as well as limit the number of undocumented immigrants which had risen in the years before the pandemic. Most visa waivers were suspended as the pandemic worsened in April 2020. When border controls ease, the ETA system will be in place to help prevent the entry of infectious disease to the country by requiring travelers to share their previous 2 weeks of travel history. South Korea will be the 5th country to adopt an ETA, an automated system used to identify in advance the eligibility of visitors to enter the country without a visa. All the authorities in South China's Yunnan province have worked to keep a wandering herd of elephants from populated city centers. Some human-elephant contact was inevitable. Humans should keep a safe distance of 200 meters away from elephants. In fact, even the expert team observing and monitoring the elephants adheres to this rule. But despite the best efforts of local police and a monitoring team, whose tracking of the herds allows for early warning alerts to local villagers, there have still been some incidences of human-elephant contact. Amateur footage captured recently shows a naughty elephant ripping a rear-view mirror from a car like a chew toy. In fact, there are many documented cases of rear-view mirrors becoming the play toys of elephants as the animals are intrigued by the vehicle's appendage, explained Yunnan University professor Shen Mingyong, who also serves as a member of the expert team monitoring the elephant herd. Local governments in Yunnan province have taken the initiative to formulate and initiate timely emergency plans, fully mobilizing all kinds of resources and staff and taking effective measures to protect the elephants from danger.
Moving on. If you are visiting Japan, don't forget to enjoy the taste of Nisei ice creams and the surreal landscapes. Today, we take you to Tokyo City, where Japanese company has come up with a new flavor of soft ice cream, and the charm of Ishigaki Island in Japan attracts thousands of visitors. Take a glance.
Japanese company Nisei has introduced a new soft ice cream in Japan. It has the shape of an old-fashioned circular cream roll. The cream has 2 layers, brown and white. Soft ice cream, which tastes like pudding when eaten, has a pudding called the Great Buddha Pudding. Nara City, located in the center of Japan, is known as the ancient capital of Japan. It remains a tourist destination with historic buildings and famous the Great Buddha in Todai Temple. The pudding-inspired cafe is called Pudding Forest, run by Mahobaru Daibatsu Pudding. It's a popular cafe where many people visit every day to eat and buy pudding and soft ice cream.
奈良を発信していけたらと思っておりまして、奈良で有名な大仏様をちょっとモチーフに使わせていただいております。プリンだけではなく、もう一つの柱になるようなものが欲しくて、でそれをソフトクリームで表現したいなと思ったものですから、まず日清さんにソフトクリームのことで、特にうちはプリン専門店としてプリン味のソフトクリームを作りたいっていう相談をさせていただきました。
This soft ice cream is particular about shape as well as taste. The simple impression of circular cream attracted popularity among the younger generation and became a hot topic on social media.
ポテってして可愛い形で写真撮りたくなるような感じですね。
The cute-shaped soft ice cream is uniquely devised to make it taste like pudding. The ingenuity is that the cream has 2 layers of flavor.
2色の組み合わせのソフトクリームになりますが、白いところには私どのプリンを練り込んでおります。それから茶色の部分にはカラメルソースが練り込んでありまして、一緒に食べていただきますとプリンの風味になります。いろいろなパターンでプリンの濃度を検証しまして、ソフトクリームの風味を損なうことなく、その中でうちのプリンの風味も楽しんでいただける、そんな絶妙なバランスを大事にしました。奈良にお越しになられた方には必ずマホロバ大仏プリン本舗にお寄りいただきたいなって願っております。
The collaboration between the Japanese soft ice cream maker Nisei and local pudding maker has created creative sweets and attracts tourist attention in Japan. Ishigaki Island is a popular tourist attraction in Japan. Water buffaloes are main method of transportation for crossing shallow strait area between small islands. All thanks to the preservation of this traditional way of transportation, the island has become famous destination for many foreign tourists who want to ride the last historical carriages used daily in Japan. There are 20 rickshaw drivers working on this route that has been operating for over 70 years. Carts take passengers across the strait between main island of Iriomote and Yobojima, which was once inhabited by local villagers, but it is now tourist destination for school students from neighboring area and foreign tourists.
牛一頭で始まったんですよ。それが口コミでどんどん広まってね、それがもう水位が足りないということで台湾から取り寄せたんですよ。だからもう口コミで広まったんですね、最初。一台だけで、口の入表さんという方がそういうことをやってみましょうということで始まりなんですよ。
Sea tides change according to the time of the day. High tide in the morning and low tide during the afternoon leaves the island sand waterlogged. Thus it is difficult to drive on using cars. So cart pulled by water buffalo is best solution. Residents say they brought the first water buffalo from Taiwan, which is only 200 kilometers from the island 80 years ago. And despite of technological development achieved by Japan during the past decades, residents of some islands that use water bull carts refuse to pave their roads because it will not be comfortable for the water buffalo hoof.
そしたら沖縄はこの山子と水牛がすごく有名なのでやってみたいなと思ってちょっともうノリで来ました。
The uniqueness does not stop at the cart pulled by water buffalo, as their driver doubles as musician to entertain passengers. The journey takes only about 10 minutes between Yobojima Island to the mainland, during which time the cart driver sing and play the shamisen. The image of water buffalo cart has been associated with these islands and it has become an icon for the region. Tourists from all over the world are eager to visit this unique attraction.
Moving on, people burnt effigies of a mythical demon king in Nepal to mark the Gadhe Mangal festival. A number of them belonging to the Newari community gathered to celebrate the festival that is held annually during the Hindu month of Shravan. While the history of its origins varies in different texts, the essence of victory of good over evil remains the same. Have a look. In the east corner of the Nepal Valley, Bhaktapur town observes this unique festival called Gadhe Mangal, where the effigies of a demon king named Ghanta Karna are burnt by people of the Newari community. The festival is held every year during the monsoon month of Shravan. While people have grown up hearing different stories and their versions, there is one popular belief that Ghanta Karna would mete out atrocities on common people. He would kidnap children and women and would demand ransom. The demon got his name from the bells on his ears, that is Ghanta meaning bell and Karna meaning ears. The most intriguing part of the folklore is when he was teased into entering a swamp by frogs, who were the only creatures during that era that showed some resistance to his barbarity. He drained and died after it became too late for him to return off that swamp. Another aspect of the story also says that he was beaten to death by stones thrown at him by villagers after he got stuck in the swamp. Despite the infection rate reaching alarming levels in the country, only a few days ago, a huge crowd turned up for the event.
अहिले त्यो छाली अब पहिला चाहिँ नर्कस काटेर ल्याउँछ होइन, हरियो नर्कस चाहिँ काटेर ल्याउँछ। अब अहिले यो नर्कस हुने चाहिँ अब त्यो बारीहरू बगैँचाहरू सबै चाहिँ भाँसेर घर बनायो। अब त्यस्तो चाहिँ त्यो नर्कस हामीले अहिले यहाँ तोलमा छैन। अब अलिक त्यो नर्कस लिनलाई चाहिँ टाढा जानुपर्छ होइन, त्यहाँ नगइकन आफ्नै साथीहरूको चाहिँ बाँस ल्याएर बाँस टुक्रा गरेर त्यसमा चाहिँ यो छाली बालेर बानेर बनाएको हो। अब त्यो मुख चाहिँ बाहिर चाहिँ त्यो कागजको खन्दा गर्नुको मुख बनाएर ल्यायो, अनि भित्र चाहिँ त्यो नाङ्लोमा त्यहाँ त्यो छापा तासेर बनाएको।
An effigy of Ghanta Karna is erected using hay straws and other decorative items on streets to be burnt later, marking the victory of good over evil. One of the most important festivals of the Newari community, it is believed that it brings good fortunes. This festival is also celebrated as a symbol of cleanliness, as the garbage inside and outside the house is cleaned. People say the festival is timed favorably to get rid of the insects that breed during the season.
अब हाम्रो घर खेत आँगनमा चाहिँ सफा गरेर छाली पराल सफा गरेर गाठामगलो बनाएर चाहिँ हरेक वडामा टोलमा चाहिँ यसरी नै जलाइन्छ। अनि यो जलाएपछि चाहिँ एउटा चाहिँ वैज्ञानिक हिसाबले के भने अहिलेको समयमा घाम पानीको अवस्था वर्षाको समयमा लामखुट्टेले अनि विभिन्न कीटाणुहरूले चाहिँ रोग व्याधि ल्याउने अवस्था भएको हुनाले यो गाठामगो जलाएर छाली बालेर पराल बालेर चाहिँ धुवाँ निकालिन्छ। धुवाँ निकालिसकेपछि यो लामखुट्टेहरू चाहिँ भाग्छ। त्यसैले चाहिँ हरेक वर्ष चाहिँ यो गाठामगो बनाएर चाहिँ बाल्ने चलन छ।
For centuries, people from all walks of life in the Newari community have upheld the tradition of this festival. They say such festival symbolizes the spiritual victory of light over darkness, good over evil, and knowledge over ignorance. It's time for me to wrap up today's episode. We will be back next week at the same time. This is Yeshi signing off on behalf of the entire production team of South Asia Today. Goodbye and take care.